Still watching the breakfast show, and we're still talking about the negotiations taking place today in Pakistan between Iran and America. And the senior U.S. and Iranian leaders were in Pakistan already in Islamabad on Saturday for negotiations to end their 6-week-old war. Pakistani sources said the U.S. delegation, led by Vice President J.D. Vance and including President Donald Trump's Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and son-in-law Jared Kushner, landed in 2 U.S. Air Force planes at an air base in Islamabad on Saturday morning. The Iranian delegation, led by Parliamentary Speaker Mohammad Baqir Qalibaf and Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, also arrived in Pakistan yesterday night. These will be the highest level American-Iranian talks since 1979 and the first official face-to-face negotiations between the two sides since 2015, when the two sides reached a deal on Iran's nuclear program. And to shed more light on this topic, we are delighted to have with us here in the studio Dr. Ahmad Ishaq. He is international relations expert. Thank you very much, Doctor, for coming today.
Thank you and good morning. It's a very pleasure to me to be here today.
The pleasure is ours. Dr. Ahmed, we want to start by telling the audience why Pakistan in particular, choosing Pakistan for the peace negotiations.
A very important question, because Pakistan had a close relationship with all the parties of the dispute. U.S. As Pakistan had held for many centuries as a close ally for U.S. It's also had a strong relationship with Iran, as it's in Pakistan. It had the second number, or the second highest number of Shia Muslim people all over the world after Iran are in Pakistan. Also, Pakistan had a long border. It's about 900 kilometers with Iran. So there is Pakistan had a close and strong relation with U.S. and also with Iran, and also Pakistan had a strong relationship with China, that also had a great influence on Iran. So as a result, Pakistan is playing a vital role as a mediator between many effective players in this dispute, so that allowed it to present a platform, or a trusted platform, for all those parties.
Yeah. Dr. Ishaq, we've seen from the beginning of the crisis Egypt's efforts to contain the crisis and the diplomatic efforts by Foreign Minister Badr Abdel Ati, who was recently visiting Iraq and also Kuwait and Algeria. Tell us more about Egypt's role in containing this crisis.
For sure, Egypt had played a vital role to de-escalate the tension in the whole region. Egypt is considered as a cornerstone for the stability and maintaining the security in the whole region. So Egypt had many negotiations, many visits to Gulf countries to ensure and reaffirm its situation that denies all military action, all violation, all strikes against Arabian Gulf countries, as it's considered as a part of Egyptian national security. So Egypt had played a vital role to de-escalate all kind of strike and tension in this war. So especially Egypt had also, like with Pakistan, had a strong relationship with the U.S. and also had a good relation with Iran for the last time. And also Egypt, and there was a meeting before this negotiation the last week between Pakistan, Egypt, Turkey and Saudi Arabia to arrange all the or to exert all efforts in order to de-escalate this tension and end this war as soon as possible, and to reaffirm and their situation to hold all military action in order to prevail the peace in the region.
Yeah. Dr. Ahmad, let's watch together now a report about the latest developments on the ground in the negotiations and the delegations arriving so far. Let's watch.
As Tehran insisted on a truce in Lebanon and release of its blocked assets for the talks to go ahead, Iran's delegation arrived in Pakistan on Friday for ceasefire negotiations with the United States. Earlier, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance warned Iran not to try to play Washington as he headed to Islamabad to represent the United States. Despite the temporary truce struck between the parties, deep disagreement remain as to the way forward in talks aimed at transforming the ceasefire into a lasting peace deal. Pakistani Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif said making progress would be hard work. Iranian state television said the delegation was led by Parliamentary Speaker Mohammad Baghir and reiterated Iran's position that talks would not only begin if Washington accepts its preconditions, a Lebanon ceasefire, and the unfreezing of Iran's assets. Israel continued to carry out strikes in Lebanon on Friday, and Lebanon State Security Agency said an attack on the southern city of Nabia has killed 13 of its personnel. Meanwhile, Lebanon's health ministry raised the provisional death toll from massive Israeli strikes across the country on Wednesday to 357 dead, 1,223 wounded.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still watching The Breakfast Show and still have with us Dr. Ahmad Ishaq. And now we're going to talk about the Vice President J.D. Vance participation, Dr. Ahmad, in the negotiation. What does this represent?
For sure, it's the American representing in this negotiation by the Vice President J.D. Vance would seem that there is a great transformation in the American situation, because before this war, the Iranian had many questions about the American representative in all negotiation that held before through Witkoff and Karishmar, as the Iranian had reaffirmed that both of them would push towards the war.
Yeah. So this is their point of view.
As the Iranian point of view. But on the other side, it's well known that J.D. Vance, the Vice President, is a higher grade and a higher degree in the American regime. It is, and also, it's well known that J.D. Vance was one of the main American leaders that refused all kinds of war or all kinds of military actions in over the world, as he reaffirmed the American situation, or he is representing the American situation or American point of view that do not push toward any kind of military action all over the world, especially in the Iranian field. So it would represent that the U.S. would change or give more flexibility in the negotiation with the Iranian in order to reach a deal, and also on the other
side. It's a good sign from the American side.
Yes, for sure. And also they want to give the Iranian more confidence that any kind of deal would reach this time would be sustained, and not like the war before a few months, last June, when there was a war, and after a few months, the American and Israeli had attacked another time, the Iran. So they want to give the Iranians that there is kind of confidence that this any kind of deal would reach it this time would have sustainability, and also to be keep and to save it for more times.
Yeah. Dr. Ishaq, what are the most complex issues hindering the negotiations this time?
For sure, there is many point of conflict that would be in this negotiation, especially first point of conflict is the Lebanon war, because the Iranian insists on the
ceasefire in Lebanon before the
unification of the arenas as a main point or a main as a cornerstone of their strategy, because the Iranian want to ensure and reaffirm that any kind of military action against Yemen and Houthi in Yemen or Hezbollah in Lebanon is a kind of assault on Iran, especially as they know after the last war during the war of Gaza and the war of against Iran in last June, because the Iranian now had a confident, or they are sure that the unification of arenas it gives them a kind of strength as a golden card in any negotiations, and it's also a kind of defense for them against any kind of strike, and gives them a strength in all negotiation. So they insist on this kind of on ceasefire in Lebanon as a part of any deal between Iran and US. The second main point is the Strait of Hormuz. And
it's very important issue.
For sure. The free crossing of Strait of Hormuz and is a cornerstone for any kind of deal, as it is considered the main reason for ceasing fire and halting all military action at this time. Because as we find that the international economy had exhausted and afforded a lot due to the blocking of Strait of Hormuz. So the whole world, not only the US, are pushing toward opening the Strait of Hormuz as soon as possible. For sure, in the last 2 days we had found about 15 vessels had crossed the Strait of Hormuz, but it's not enough. Especially the Iranian are keeping their attention, or are going to have more to charge all the vessels that crossing the Strait of Hormuz that would breach any kind of or will consider as a breach for all arrangement that was held before this war. So the Strait of Hormuz is one of the most important files in this negotiation, and they need to, or the American especially, need to have guaranteed that the free crossing of all vessels with no charging, with no kind of a charging, is one of the main important point of the negotiation in Pakistan. The third point in the negotiation, the enrichment of the uranium and the nuclear program of the Iranian, as the Iranian insists on, till the moment, are insisting on their right of free or the right to enrich the uranium, but on the other side, the Americans are refusing this point, as it would be a sign for the Iranians at any time they would had a kind of nuclear weapon or nuclear missiles for in the near future. So it's one of the main important disputes or one of the main conflicts between both parties. As also there now in these days we found some voices or some people in Iran are calling for having a nuclear weapon as a kind of defense
for the country,
for the regime, because they are making a comparison between the Iranian regime and North Korean regime. North Korea are also had obtained a
Nobody dares.
nuclear missiles, so no one would attack or criticize its regime.
Yeah.
So the Iranians are thinking now, why not we would do the same like the North Korean regime?
Yeah.
So it's one of the main disputes. And what kind of guarantee would had for the Iranian if they wouldn't have any nuclear regime, nuclear weapon? What guarantee for the regime that would not to there is no kind of repetition of the strikes and attack on the Iranian.
Yeah.
So they need these kinds of guarantees.
Yeah. Dr. Ahmad, what role are the mediators playing in keeping the talks going so far?
For sure, we would ensure that the negotiation between American and Iranian are not direct negotiation. They don't meet in
one
closed
room.
yes, in one room or closed or in a closed place. No, but it's in direct negotiation. So the mediators are trying. First of all, they are transferring all the point of views between both parties. They are suggesting a compromise for all kinds of disputes, as we mentioned before. They also are working with others, what we can with all parties in order to reach a final solution for this dispute in order to maintain the international security, especially in the region of Middle East, in order to de-escalate the tension of in this conflict.
Yeah. Dr. Ahmad, how will the failure of this round affect the regional stability if happened?
It would be a disaster for the region, and it also would be a disaster for the whole international economic. The failure of this negotiation means there would be a return for the war. So as a result, that means also the Strait of Hormuz would be still blocked. As a result, it means that the inflation would go higher. And it also means that the oil may reach 150 or more or less for every barrels. It would be a real disaster for not only for the parties of the dispute, but not only for the Middle East region. It would be a disaster for the whole international economy. That would it also affect the cost of transportation. That would also affect the cost of services, the cost of food. So it would be really a very big disaster for the whole world. So it's, in my point of view, we would expect that for a way or another, there would be a compromise.
Yes, because I think both sides want a peace.
Both sides are exhausted from this tension and this conflict, and also no one in the whole world would afford this kind of this war. But only is the Israelis. They are only the only party who is pushing toward the war.
Yeah, and does the continuation of the talks, Dr. Ahmad, mean a freeze on the military escalation?
As we mentioned before, that the deal is to freeze all military action for 2 weeks, and during these 2 weeks, the negotiation would be held.
I mean, if the negotiations exceeded the 2 weeks, this means that there is a halt in the military escalation?
For sure, after it's in my point of view, and anyone would, once that there is a kind of negotiation, that means the all military action would be halted or will be stopped, and it would also, if there is a kind of de-escalation of the tension.
Yes.
So it would be also that very important. Once the negotiation is going on, it means that there is a probability or for solving all the dispute by peaceful mean. So it would help and would reaffirm that the importance of halting all military action between both sides during all kind of negotiation, even if it exceeds more than the 2 weeks.
Yeah, we hope so. Well, Dr. Ahmad Ishaq, the international relations expert, thank you very much for coming today to Nile TV studio.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, short break. I'll be back.